The neighborhood looked peaceful from the outside. Rows of neat houses lined the street, each driveway polished and every lawn clipped with almost military precision. To someone driving through, it might have seemed like the perfect suburban dream. But beneath the surface, there was an undercurrent of tension, the kind of tension that came when one person thought she was in charge of everyone else. That person was Brenda, though everyone called her Karen. She wasn't technically the president of the homeowners association, but she acted like she owned the entire subdivision. Clipboard in hand, always watching, always waiting, she made life difficult for anyone who didn't meet her impossible standards. For weeks, she had targeted Jessica Williams, a young black nurse who had moved into the community with her husband, Marcus. The couple had saved for years to buy the house, eager for a quiet place to raise their children someday. But from the first day they moved in, Brenda made it clear she didn't think they belonged. She questioned Jessica about fees, inspected their yard daily, and even complained about the color of Jessica's front door mat. Jessica had tried to stay polite, to keep her distance, but Brenda thrived on confrontation. She needed someone to bully, and Jessica had become her favorite target. On that hot Saturday afternoon, Jessica had just returned from a long shift at the hospital. She was exhausted, still in her scrubs, her hair pulled back into a bun as she parked her SUV in the driveway. She popped the trunk and began unloading bags of groceries, humming softly to herself to push away the weariness. For once, she hoped she could get inside without Brenda noticing her. But luck wasn't on her side. The moment she set a bag down, she heard the sharp clicking of heels crossing the street. She didn't even need to look up to know who it was. Brenda's voice rang out, shrill and demanding. "Excuse me, you can't park like that. That's against HOA regulations." Jessica turned slowly, her expression blank. Her SUV was sitting squarely in her own driveway, perfectly aligned. "It's in my driveway, Brenda." Brenda marched right up to the vehicle, clipboard tucked under her arm. "Your bumper is sticking out onto the sidewalk. That's a violation. People can't walk past." Jessica glanced at the space. There was more than enough room for someone to walk by without trouble. She sighed, shifting the grocery bag in her arms. "Nobody's blocked, Brenda. I'll be done unloading in a minute." Instead of letting it go, Brenda's eyes narrowed, her face twisting. "Don't talk back to me. You people always think the rules don't apply to you." The words stung like a slap. Jessica had heard "you people" before, and it was never said kindly. Her jaw tightened, but she refused to let Brenda see her anger. "This conversation is over," she said firmly, turning back to grab another bag from the trunk. That was when Brenda snapped. Her hand dove into her oversized purse and came out clutching a small can of pepper spray. With one quick flick, she aimed it directly at Jessica's face and pressed down. The burning was immediate and unbearable. Jessica screamed as the spray hit her eyes and skin, the grocery bag slipping from her hands and spilling across the pavement. The pain was like fire spreading across her face, blinding her, making it hard to breathe. She stumbled backward, her hands clawing at her eyes as she cried out. Neighbors gasped from their porches. A couple across the street dropped their coffee mugs and rushed forward with a bottle of water. Others stood frozen, phones in hand, too stunned to move but quick to record. Brenda, however, didn't flinch. She stood there with the can still raised, her face smug. "That's what happens when you disrespect me," she sneered. Jessica collapsed to her knees, tears streaming as she tried to wash the chemicals away with her shirt. Her body shook with pain. Just when it felt unbearable, the sound of a truck pulling up to the curb broke through the chaos. Marcus Williams had just arrived home. Still in his fatigues after a long day at the base, he immediately spotted his wife on the ground. His training took over before the shock could. He slammed the truck into park and sprinted across the yard, his boots pounding against the pavement. "Jessica," he shouted, dropping to his knees beside her. He gently tilted her face toward him, scanning the damage. His voice was calm despite the rage boiling inside. "Stay still, baby, I've got you." A neighbor shoved a water bottle into his hand, and Marcus carefully poured it over her eyes, flushing away what he could. Jessica whimpered, clutching his sleeve, her whole body trembling. Then Marcus stood. His tall frame loomed over Brenda, who suddenly seemed much smaller than she had moments earlier. His face was set, his jaw locked, his tone low and dangerous. "What did you just do to my wife?" Brenda hesitated, her bravado faltering as she took in the uniform, the patches, the steel in his eyes. But she quickly tried to recover, holding up the pepper spray like a trophy. "She was being aggressive. I was defending myself." Marcus stepped closer, his voice sharp as a blade. Defending yourself. She was unloading groceries. And you attacked her. The neighbors around them muttered in agreement, their phones still recording. Brenda's smirk wavered as she realized the crowd wasn't on her side. Marcus's gaze bore into her, steady and unyielding. You just assaulted an unarmed woman on her own property. And that woman is my wife. His tone dropped lower, his words cutting through the thick silence. You have no idea who you just picked a fight with. Brenda swallowed hard, her hand trembling slightly around the can. I was just enforcing the rules, she stammered. Marcus didn't blink. The only rule you broke today was the law. And you're about to answer for it. He pulled out his phone with swift precision and dialed, his voice crisp and professional as he reported the assault to the police. He gave them details, names, and the condition of his wife, his military discipline making each word exact. The crowd of neighbors listened, whispering among themselves, realizing this wasn't going to end with Brenda's usual bullying tactics. Jessica, still in pain, whispered weakly, Marcus. He knelt beside her again, squeezing her hand. I'm here, I've got you, she won't get away with this. The faint sound of sirens echoed in the distance, growing louder with each second. Neighbors shifted uneasily, their phones recording everything. Brenda's confidence had drained from her face, replaced with panic as she realized she couldn't spin this the way she normally did. This wasn't going to be a simple walk complaint. This was assault, witnessed by half the neighborhood and caught on camera. Marcus's eyes never left her as the sirens grew closer. His voice was steady, but beneath it was the promise of consequences. You thought you could intimidate my wife. You thought you could hurt her and walk away. But today, Brenda, you picked the wrong family. Brenda's hand finally dropped to her side, the pepper spray can dangling uselessly. The neighbors closed in, no longer silent, their voices rising in disgust. For the first time, the so-called Karen realized her power was slipping away. Because this time, she hadn't just harassed a neighbor. She had attacked the wife of an army lieutenant. And Marcus Williams was not about to let that go unanswered.